Craptin's vlog. Stardate 26th of March 2023. Another boring day of scanning for anomalous Earths inside the neutral zone. Nigel, my number 2, earlier almost caused a catastrophe by turning off the holodeck safety overrides and calling up some dodgy program with him, a pot of Martian Vaseline and a curiously triple-breasted 7 of 9. Captain Picard was apparently there too, but I'm told he was just watching whilst rubbing his spandex. Anyway, it nearly caused a core meltdown, and now half the Jeffries tubes on deck 9 smell of semen. Beer, lagery pish, disappointingly warm.
Captain, we're somewhat improbably receiving a distress signal from a local planet regarding some electrical work.
Oh, very good, number 2. We'll beam down an away team to investigate.
Make it so.
Oh, piss off, Nige, that's my line. You don't get to say that. Ah, that's handy. It appears to be a Class M planet with a biosphere capable of supporting human life.
Oh, Captain. I'm betting they speak English too.
That would be jolly handy. Looks like we have 3 structures here. One to the east, one to the west and one to the north. Ensign Spunkgargler, would you please go and take a look in the structure to the east there?
Aye, Captain.
Number 2, if you could take a look in the structure to the north.
Aye, Captain.
And I shall go and see if this planet has the capability to make a decent fucking cup of coffee, because I'm gagging for one.
Sites officer here. I'm in the main house. We're looking at the main boards here. We've got a 16th edition, an older board, and we got this breaker and RCD going out to the other house there, the smaller house. That's on a 40. It is a B40 MCB and RCD. I'm not sure what this does at the moment. It's not labelled. And those are all the circuits for the main house. Ensign Spunkgargler, come in. I have what appears to be a 15th edition board with a 3036 hanging off the side and an RCD isolator for what appears to be the outbuilding. Are you reading?
Yes, I have a modern dual RCD board, and I'm just about to take the cover off now.
No, Spunkgargler, do not take the cover off. You are not equipped for safe isolation. Are you reading me? Spunkgargler, are you reading me? Spunkgargler! Spunkgargler! No! No! Spunkgargler! No! No!
What is it?
Oh.
What's happened? Oh, for Christ's sake. He wasn't equipped for safe isolation. Why is he pulling board covers off?
I don't know. You fool!
The paperwork on this is going to be a bloody nightmare with Space Fleet. You know what a health and spacey executive is like?
I do. Oh well.
Get to the point.
So, well, at least he's pulled the front off the board so we can take a look at it. It is all live in there, so we're not going to be sticking our fingers in there. Unlike our friend Spunkgargler, who was very foolish. And, well, that's that. What we have here, we think, it's a very small building, this outbuilding. Rented accommodation, rented property. The homeowners in the main house have only just bought the main house in the last few weeks. They've inherited this place. It's obviously an old building that someone has revamped into a rental building with a curious step on the floor there that Nigel keeps falling foul of. We're about to do in the ICR here. Our concern is that what we have here is perhaps, not necessarily, but perhaps a builder's installation as opposed to an electrician's installation. The reasons for that are a couple of things we've observed just on the face of it, but also the paperwork that the homeowner has passed on, which I'll come to later on. The interesting thing about this site is the selectivity and demand of the installation, which, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, hasn't been properly accounted for.
No. We
know that this is being fed from a SWA at the main house end at 40 amps. And there's no gas in this building. It's a very small building. We've got a bedroom and lounge upstairs, or 2 bedrooms. It's an upside down house. 2 bedrooms downstairs and a lounge above us, a bathroom downstairs and a kitchen above us. That's it. So, you know, we're not talking a big old hole, are we, Nigel?
No, it's small.
It's a chint dual RCD board. This was all done in 2020 apparently. Why are people still fitting dual RCD boards? Type AC? Come on, for fuck's sake. We've been fitting Type A since 2018. Type A RCBO with surge protection. I don't know why these things are still sold. 18th edition put the writing on the wall for them. And all you're going to get going forward is people conducting inspections. Remember, there's a rentals every 5 years at the most. People coming and doing reports and going, oh, well, there's no Type A RCD protection here.
You need a new board.
There's no RCBO protection here. I mean, that's not to say it's not perfectly safe and sound for what it's doing, but it's going to keep cropping up, that kind of thing. As I say, dual RCD, 63 amp RCDs, a lot of circuits, and that's because there's no gas. It's all electric here. So you'd think that being all electric here, the demand of the installation would be taken into account. 40 amps. Do we think 40 amps is sufficient for all these circuits? Well,
including an electric shower.
Well, your electric shower, your space heating, your water heating, your cooking, and your various appliances are all being attended to here. 2-ring circuits. I mean, if that doesn't say fucking builder, I don't know what does. Yes, it's very good to have 2-socket circuits. 2-ring circuits for a house that's tiny and has very few rooms. I'm sure a couple of radials would have sufficed. But it's not to say rings are wrong, it's just going to be extra testing. We've got to get any ICR performed on all this and see what is going on. I can already see that there's an SWA going off down there. This circuit here, this is not on the RCD. They've actually walloped that in via a secondary bar there to go off to the garage, but the SWA hasn't been terminated correctly. Let's get this EICR performed. Done. Results are already in on
Brilliant.
Easy Search. It's 24th century technology. Marvellous, isn't it?
It's not the graft it used to be, is it?
It's not. EICR's piece of piss these days. It's not the neatest wiring, as you can see. Is this the workmanship of a proper electrician? I mean, my boards are never terribly neat, and this isn't the worst rat's nest we've come across, but even so. Sharing your CPCs in one sleeving.
It's annoying.
Yeah, that always fucks anybody off doing an EICR. Mind you, what's going on there? Looks like there's a CPC though. The sleeving, there's loads of exposed copper on the CPC. They haven't sized the sleeving correctly. And already we've got a ring break on R2. It's always on R2, isn't it? So, I mean, hopefully we'll find it because we're going to be unzipping sockets from walls anyway. But for an installation that's only 2 years old, you know, I expect not to be seeing things like ring breaks. Let's just have a look at the paperwork. We're going to have a closer look at the paperwork later and see what the person who signed it off reported. Going into them, well, their numbers are completely different to mine anyway. They've got 0.13, 0.13, 0.31. I'm getting 0.27, 0.30 and open circuit. I think let's have a poke round behind some sockets and have a look at the quality of workmanship here. Well, I guess it kind of looks neat enough. I never quite understand with installers where, you know, when you've got 2 places to put a CPC, why you still get installers who shift them all into one. When you may as well use the 2 connection points. That's what they're there for. Again, it's not really great size CPC sleeving, is it? I expect better from the Sparky, but at least it's not a builder's knockout box. They've used an Appleby box. That's something. Well, that's all tight, but let's go around, see if we can find where this break is on the others. There are some awkward sockets in this place trying to get around to them, but I've just had this one off, and here's Johnny. Just popped right out there. The quality of this wiring ain't great. I mean, look at all this fucking copper hanging out here. None of these are terminated particularly well. And again, if they'd have folded that over and taken the opportunity to put the CPC in each of the connectors, then there would have been less chance of that fucking up. But at least, hopefully, that's fixed. Or it will be in a minute. Right, now that's all back together. I'm getting slightly better numbers on R1 and RN. Let's check for our R2. 0.47, marvellous. 0.47. So we have a fix. And again, a lot of people will be like, oh, you shouldn't be fixing it, you shouldn't be fucking testing it today. I've got to pull the sockets off as part of my inspection, mate. And if I find a wire hanging out, I'm going to fucking put it back in. There's no point me putting it down on the report, leaving it less safe than it ought to be, and then saying, well, they'd have to pay me to come and fix that. You play that if you want, but that's not the way we work. So I'm going to individually sleeve these and put them back in. I'm not going to bother fucking tidying this up necessarily. It's just too much like hard work. Huh. I jump a ladder. I didn't know they stack shit that high.
I say. How can you tell that a builder has been doing the wiring?
I don't know. How can you tell the builder's been doing the
Well,
wiring?
first of all, there's a line out the way you go, and all the CPCs are chopped.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
All of them.
I don't know if I'm getting that on camera because I can't see from here.
Well, yeah, give me the stick. There you go. All the CPCs chopped. Which is why I was getting no CPC reading at the switch. And of course, I don't know if you're getting that. There's a line there, just hanging out the way you go. How about that?
For the love of Jesus. And look at this. The switch is, of course, metal. CPC not sleeved. Remember someone signed this off?
But remember, that CPC isn't connected up here.
Yeah, well, this is exactly. So you're not getting any continuity there because it's all been chopped off. I've failed to understand the fucking idiocy of builders.
What do they think it's for? It's just there to tear the sleeve in or something?
I really don't know. It beggars belief that they just sort of think, well, yeah, we don't need that. It works without that, so we'll just chop it off. Yeah. Not we might need that in the future even or anything. Just like, no, that can go.
Oh, that's gone, yeah.
Metal fucking fittings everywhere. So this circuit's fucked as far as the ICR is concerned.
Yeah, you know, that needs work, doesn't it?
I've just said actually about repairing stuff on an inspection that I've just repaired a ring brake, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. If it's like that there, it's probably going to be like everywhere. And we've got class 1 fittings everywhere. We've got metal switches everywhere. They're all going to need to be re-terminated, sleeved properly and checked, and that's too much. We haven't got the time today for all that. I mean, it's not too bad because the family who live here are on holiday this week and we're back in a couple of days, so we can program these repairs in for our return.
I'll do the things that need doing immediately.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a case of, like I had earlier, a wire's out and you're taking the accessories off anyway and you can put the wire back in, then obviously that makes sense. But if it's a case of we're going to have to take these lights down and re-terminate them all properly, well, we're talking different territory there, aren't we? But yes, good find, Nigel, and a trademark signature of an asshole builder doing wiring. But remember, all this has been signed off by an electrician, as we will be looking at later on when we closely examine the motherfucker's paperwork. So we're going to go to the garage, have a look in there. Apparently there's another DB in there. We've got an armoured cable. I pointed out earlier, the SWA, well, this is the inner sheath of the SWA. It goes into this breaker here, which has been shoehorned in off the main switch. The armour itself is not earthed. Hopefully it's earthed at the other end, but let's go and take a look in the garage. We've not been in there yet. Let's all go to the garage. Let's have a look in there. Lovely day for it, isn't it, considering the time of year.
Oh, look, what we got? Oh, it's empty.
Lovely big space. We've got a couple of accessories in here.
Ooh, a couple of dead spiders.
You'd think a decent spark wouldn't just... You'd clip that to the fucking wood, wouldn't you? You wouldn't just leave it twisted and hanging like that. Mate. That's a level of workmanship that's sloppy, unnecessarily. I'll show you something else as well before we go in the garage. This is what really tipped me off about it being a builder job. When I first came to look at the job, before we pulled anything apart, had a look in here. We got this little side section here. And again, the quality of the wiring, I just looked at that and thought, hang on, this place has been wired out 2 years ago when it was all refitted, refurbished, because it was just I think just like a farm building before, and it's been converted. And it looks great on the outside, doesn't it? And great on the inside in terms of its sort of fixtures and fittings. But you look at the wiring here and you think, well, that doesn't look like a Sparky put it in. Or if it was a fucking gash one, because there's not enough clips. Some of them are broken. It's not been run in any kind of neat way. It's all twisted going up the wall. Why did they even put the lights all the way over there when they could have put it further up here, which would have saved having to run some cable over the wall? So there's no forethought there. They've smashed out the top of the pattresses without much thought. The socket's way back at the back there. It actually uses the socket to charge his EV on a granny charger.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that. You'll be pleased to hear. Because that's not a great solution. You're not supposed to run granny chargers off a standard BS1363 plug top over and over again. But let's go and have a look in the garage at this second DB, because time's a ticking.
Which way? Through here?
Side door there. Should be something in here.
Oh my God. Jesus.
What the fuck is this?
Look at this. Look at that. Just sort of pushed into the armour. So at least the armour is earthed this end.
Oh, it is earthed this end, yeah, look at that. Look at that cable's doing.
What the hell?
If this gets faced off, none of this cabling's going to be in zone because the sockets are all lower than the wiring. I suppose you could argue it's more than 50 millimetres deep by the time it's
unsleeved CPC just going in the back of that.
Let's go. Have you got any tools to get the front of that off? I bet you haven't, have you?
I haven't. I've got nothing on me.
Now, again, I've mentioned it before, but remember, this got signed off by a supposed electrician. Now, frankly, I'm fucking speechless because I just don't know what to say about that.
I love this. That's just tucked in there.
When I saw the paperwork, I didn't see in here. All I saw was that wiring out that we just looked at, where the granny charger gets plugged in. I thought, it doesn't look like a Sparker's wiring to me. And why is there a dual RCD board been put in? It's a bit cheap. It just made me think, it could be a builder who's done this. And when I looked at the paperwork, it doesn't say that they've wired the place. It says they've installed a consumer unit and tested the wiring. But this board is on that paperwork. So someone is claiming to have tested this wiring. This has obviously been thrown in by an unskilled person, by someone who hasn't got the faintest fucking idea of what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this absolutely staggeringly beggars belief. If a builder even did that, I don't know. I mean, even for a builder, that's shite work.
Yeah.
But someone has supposedly come along and they've put their fucking name to it. They've signed the fucking EIC saying, yep, this looks all great to me. I presume that they got a brown envelope full of cash.
Maybe it's a blind electrician with a skilled dog.
Oh, well,
maybe, the paws would have a bit of trouble. You might,
Whatever it is, it's most illogical. It's just...
That's really awful.
But there's just no point in us testing that. There really is. There's no point in us charging the client, because we charge per circuit for EICRs. No. There is no point us charging the client to test that.
No, we may as well put that right and then do the test.
Because all we can really do with that is probably disconnect it from the other end. And so, we don't have the authority to take it out of service. But to recommend that it doesn't get used, because it's fucked. You've got exposed basic insulation, you've got inadequate earthing of the SWA.
Is there any... Oh, yeah, at least they've put the... It's not just a bare, sharp metal.
They've actually got some kind of edging. I bet it's a bit of... It's probably the missing bit of fucking outer sleeving.
Cut it off there. It does feel like sleeving, to be fair.
But there's simply no point in us running around getting R1, R2s and IRs from this, because... The bottom line is, it's all got to have to be done properly. It's a fucking disaster of a thing. Look at the twists on that fucking cable there. I mean, you'd have to be almost some kind of fucktard to even do it this bad. It's harder to do it this bad than to do it properly.
It is.
You've got to go to some special effort to fucking
I mean, just look at that from this angle.
wank
That
through a
is,
cable like that.
as soon as you see that, you know there's something wrong.
They've had some labourer on it, some cheap shit labourer.
I can do electrics.
And that's the scary thing. He's going around thinking that. I mean, nobody puts in work this bad on purpose, so to speak.
No, they think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, that someone has gone away thinking this is a good job, this is adequate. I've done all right here. I ought to be paid for this. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's all right, isn't it? And I don't know how people can't just sort of step back from an abomination like this and not see that it's inadequate and it's gash and it's shit, mate. Gee, the more you look here, the more you see. What have you got up there now, Martian?
Well, we've got the usual shit show. Oh, in fact, look.
Have they tried to get
Two-way Wago.
4 wires into a two-way Wago?
Yeah. And one was out as I pulled it down. The other one you just saw pop out there.
And I just found that there was no R1, R2 in the bathroom.
And so I thought I'll check the circuit intervening between there and there. And, well, as you can see.
And that's down to the use of inadequate components, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's someone getting cheap going, oh, I've got 4 wires to connect, but I've only got a two-way connector to do it with.
Yeah, it rarely works well with the Wago doing
In
that.
fact, you got 3 going into the neutral as well. Look.
Yes. So
I mean, I didn't think builders knew what fucking lever connectors were. I thought they just still used connector blocks. And you know what? A connector block would have done a better fucking job.
well, look there, we got 2 going into a 3. So we could put that one on the neutral and this one there.
It's just fucking staggering, the level of incompetence at this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to look up this. Have I got a network connection on my Superior Lenovo?
I'm going to
Yes, I
swap
have.
these 2 over and we'll get a 4-way onto that.
I'm going to look up the person whose name is on this fucking paperwork, this EIC, the guy who said, I've done all this. This is all. It comments on existing installation. Very good.
Oh, Jesus. These people are friends with each other, aren't they?
Very good. Can you believe that?
Ah, I see why that one didn't have. That's a broken Wago with 2 levers and
I
there's a
see,
3.
yeah.
So we need a 3-way and a 4-way to go there. And I'm on that. I'll get on that now.
Make it so, number 2.
Aye, Captain.
What's interesting is that looking at this asshole's paperwork,
Yeah.
doesn't show up on the registered competent persons database, which means that he's not accredited with anybody, at least not now, whether that was the case 2 years ago or so. It's November 2020 this was signed off. On the registration number, there's an STRI number, which I imagine is Stroma. But Stroma, I've just checked their website, don't seem to have a members lookup, which is a bit fucking useless.
They're on the competent person. Well, they were. They're not around anymore, are they?
Stroma, well, I'm not sure with Stroma. They're still there. So I don't know, to be honest. But the Stroma website doesn't have a members lookup, and this Burke, who signed this off.
Was that his name? Burke.
Well, I'd love to give his name. It's right here in front of me. The builder's name, the electrician's name, the electrician's company.
You're just being nice.
Based in Leicester. Well, I just don't want to open myself up to anything, you know. But it's... You just look at these and you think, you people are assholes. You haven't got a fucking Scooby-Doo what you're doing. In fact, I may as well have a moan about the paperwork right now while you busy yourself doing that. Because, as I said, under comments on existing installation, very good. What the fuck does that mean? I would have said something about what's been done with the installation, like, for example, this is a new installation as of 2020, etc., something. Very good in whose opinion. The paperwork's not very good, neither is the workmanship. Well, they didn't even take the fucking sticker off the side of the board before they plastered around it. Lazy motherfucker. Extent of the installation covered by the certificate. This is where I looked at this and thought, this is a bit ropey. Replacement consumer unit and tested all circuits. I recommend this is further inspected and tested after an interval of not more than 12 months. 2 things to say there. First of all, if this is a new build, as it was, Why the fuck are you just testing all circuits? Surely this certificate should cover installation of all circuits. It should stand there, installation of all circuits, complete rewire, plus installation of consume units, earthing and bonding arrangements if necessary, all that kind of shit. Not just, yeah, I've put in a new consume unit and I've tested all the circuits. That sort of suggests to me that this person isn't owning up to installing all the circuits, and nor should they be either, because they're fucking gash and are clearly the work of the asshole builder who put it in, because he wouldn't. There's no electrician who can work this badly. If this is all new as of November 2020, why the fuck hasn't it been signed off for 10 years?
Yeah.
There should be a 10-year sign-off for this. Now, this is a rental, so that 10-year certificate sign-off should have meant that this building was good for 5 years before they needed to worry about getting it checked again.
Yeah.
As it stands...
Can I get to that one, mate? Sorry.
So, what are you trying to get to?
Get to this one.
All right, yeah.
That one's bad, this one's going to be...
Don't knock my laptop over.
Similar.
As it stands, this has only been signed off for 12 months, so effectively it expired in November 2021, nearly a year ago at the time of filming. We're now in October 2022. So for nearly a year, this rental property hasn't been covered by the paperwork. And of course, the people who've just moved into the house, the main house, and have taken this over, well, they presumably had no idea that was the case. It was really down to the previous owners who should have spotted that and sorted it out. If they weren't going to get paperwork that said, yes, this is all good for 5 years, and they should have arranged an inspection before they sold the house. What other fiction have we got in here? Earthing arrangements, TNS. It's fucking TNCS over there, I can tell you that. Another problem we got here is maximum demand 56 amps. What was the breaker in that supply that you looked at?
Was it 40? B40, wasn't it?
Was a B40. So again, we were talking earlier about the demand of this place hasn't been taken into account, because if they know that it's 56 amps, if that's the number they're going to put on their bullshit certificate, why the fuck have they hung it off a 40 amp supply?
Yeah.
Back at the house. Also, we have a 40 amp MCB here serving the shower. And they have complained, remember, that the power turns off when they've said that happens after the shower's been used for a prolonged period. That's a 10.8 kilowatt electric shower. I mean, you do the fucking Ohm's law on that, but that's a new shower that someone's put in. So again, this whole design here has been done by a builder who hasn't put any thought into demand because he's a thick motherfucker. And then some asshole Spark has signed all this off, including that fucking nightmare we saw in the garage, because he's obviously sucking the builder's cock and taken a brown envelope of cash to do it, and has been stupid enough to put his name on the fucking certificate. Yeah. But he's minimised his risk by saying that he hasn't installed the circuits, only tested them. Not that that really gets him out of hot water, because...
Did he even look at them?
Yeah, well, we found faults here today that suggest they haven't been tested adequately, and you can just look at them to see that they're knackered. And then he signed it off for 12 months because, you know, he just wants to minimise his exposure there.
Yeah.
So it's like him saying, fuck the people who live here, fuck their safety. I don't give a shit about this family who live here.
Just give me my money.
Just give me my money. I'm out of here. And so long as nothing happens in the next 12 months, I'll be okay, mate.
If you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching, you recognise this. Fuck you, you fucking Leicester bastard.
Yeah, unsubscribe. Fuck off.
Fuck off out of it. Or learn something from it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So yeah, demand hasn't been taken into account because you've got a 40 amp breaker serving a shower that's what's 10.8. It's got to be about 45, 46 amps. So
yeah.
I have to do the fucking... hold that a sec. I've got my calculator watch on today.
Hey, you see Dave do some maths.
So
Mathematics.
100. I can't see the fucking buttons anymore because of my eyesight. Over 2 equals... Yeah, 47 amps we're looking at.
There you go.
47 amps. I mean, the shower...
As if it was turned up full, scolding someone underneath it.
Exactly that. It's not going to quite take that because, as Nige says, you would have to be flaying your skin off with it up to its maximum temperature to be drawing that full current. But it is nonetheless an appliance that is capable of taking well over 40 amps in normal use. And this is why they're having tripping trouble. There's
Well, if they've got the heating on or they're cooking something upstairs and someone has a shower.
Yeah. A prolonged shower is going to get that breaker at the source warming up. And any other demands on at the same time. And remember, you've got your heating, you've got your hot water, you've got your cooking, you've got your sockets, you've got your lights, all hanging off this same supply.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't take much for that to trip off. So that needs to be uprated at that end. We haven't looked at that end fully yet. We need to go and do that. It looks like quite a beefy armoured coming off it. Let's go and have a look at the source, shall we? Number 2, strike that cut. That's a curious thing, isn't it? Let's have a look in the cupboard. So we've done a lot of waffling on demand and stuff. Let's take a look in here. Let's get the uni light onto the subject. How about that, eh? You impressed?
You see, because we've got an RCD down there.
Oh, well, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that, Mr. Marsh.
Right. Should I leave the clever bit for you? Is that what you want? David wants to do the clever bit.
Well, no. Well, yeah. Well, first of all,
what we
we should come back to Nigel's point, because Nigel's about to make a very good point. We have the source of the installation on the other side of the wall. That's a fuse to 60 or 80 or 100 amps. Not sure which. It's not labelled. The first thing I find weird about this is they say that this was a barn that got converted in the late 80s, we think. So you look at this and think, yeah, that looks like a late 80s board, doesn't it? They've moved on from fuses to breakers. There's no RCD. Yeah, I can buy that. It's all to, the breakers are to BS3871. I can buy that. Yep. What I don't get is this fella. Because that looks like it's an addition. It's like, oh, well, we need a couple of extra circuits. For some reason, we're not going to use the circuit ways in here. We'll add a second board on. That board, though, looks like it predates this. This is more of an early to mid-80s board, or even a sort of the kind of boards they put in from the late 60s to the sort of late 80s or so. But it looks like, unless this was just on the cusp of being phased out and someone thought, yeah, that'd be fine there to go in addition to this, it just seems a bit strange, because the top board, which is the main board, looks more modern than this one, unless there was a second BS3036 board and that got modernised in the early 90s or something. I don't know the history of it, but it seems a bit strange that you've got these two boards which seem not quite to go with each other. We will be doing an EICR here in a couple of days, not today, so we haven't looked at these yet. We're just concerned with the other side of the installation, and ultimately I expect what we will look to do is to get rid of all of this and to consolidate it into one board with surge protection and RCBOs. Yeah. Because the people who've moved in here are going to want to make various moves and changes, I'm sure. Now, Nigel was about to make a very good point about this board. So all three of them are hanging off Henley block, so they're all separate. Now, what fine point were you about to make as science officer?
No. I'll leave that to you.
A science officer about this board here. No, you were going to make a very good point, I'm sure.
I was going to say, depending on the size of the cable, we should get rid of the RCD and just stick it on a appropriately sized breaker.
Yeah, so we've already said about demand. We've said that the installation at the other end has not had demand taken into account because you've got a B40 supplying that whole installation, and yet the shower there is itself on a B40 and takes more than 40 amps in normal use.
Yeah.
So we already have our demand blown. What Nigel is now talking about is selectivity.
Yes.
Because all the circuits down that end are RC protected at 30 milliamps, and yet some genius has put a 30 milliamp RCD at this end. Now, they obviously, again, this is an old board. There must have been a supply to that outbuilding. This is not something that's gone in as part of the refurbishment. That SWA and this board have been in for a long time. Yeah. And I imagine 40 amps and an RCD at this end probably were a wise choice when that was just a
whatever
farm
it was
building.
doing, yeah.
Because whatever was down there was perhaps just sort of sockets and lights. When it all got ripped out and refurbished, someone should have looked at this end and said, 40 amps, that's perhaps not quite enough. And we don't need the RCD anymore because we're going to localise the RCD protection.
Well, with it
Flick
as
it
it
on.
is, if the homeowner's out and they trip the RCD at this end, and
unless the tenant has a key, they can't get in here to sort it out. So we have two protective devices here that could remove power from the tenant's entire supply, and they might not be able to do much about it. The RCD, you could argue, isn't necessary because the SWA, the armour of the SWA,
it's protected.
is providing mechanical protection, and the final circuits at that end are now all protected by their own localised RCD protection. So that could go. If it were 10 mil throughout, you could up that to at least a 50 amp just to give them some kind of fighting chance of it not tripping under
10 mil
normal conditions. I mean, at the moment we're just spitballing because we're just here on site looking at it and scratching our heads and going, fucking hell, look at this, who put this in, what are they thinking? But this is a problem because that EIC that we've got by the electrician, how is he connecting that consumer unit at that end if he didn't know what the source of supply was? He must have isolated it at this end in order to connect it all at that end. He must have done. So he must have known that it was a B40 at this end, and yet he's put down maximum demand is 56 amps for that end. So it just doesn't make sense.
It beggars your belief.
It does beggar my belief. Unless the builder's just, I don't know.
Have they scribbled it down? I'll fill it out for you, mate. You sign it and I'll
you scribble down the basics. I'll make up some numbers because the numbers that are on his sheet don't match up with any kind of reality anyway. No. So maybe it is completely counterfeit, just rubbish, just completely made up. And all he's had from the builder is a circuit layout. Oh, you give me the circuit layout, I'll stick it all in easy cert or whatever and knock up a certificate for you. So it's all a bit curious at this end. It's dated. It is going to get changed. We are going to have to do something to minimise tripping at the house. So we will have to look to see if we can upgrade the OCPD. There's no reason why we can't take out the RCD. That can go. But whether we do that now, whether we do it all as part of some kind of consolidation of all of these services is another question for another day.
Okay. Ready?
Further. How can you not get the outer insulation into there? Who does that?
Someone goes, oh look, I've accidentally cut it at 6 inches. Oh, fuck it.
You see these appear like on, it was Adrian Daly put a picture on Twitter recently, or someone did, and he commented on it saying that he fails to understand how people just don't get how to terminate downlights. And, you know, I fully agree. It's so fucking obvious how it's supposed to be. And yet we come across this time and time and time again. It's as bad as the old cutting off the CPCs problem. It just seems to... You just wonder what's going through their heads. What are they thinking?
Well,
what are they thinking?
I've got to say something in favour of this method. He has put the CPCs in.
Well, at least he hasn't chopped them off. So maybe that was the work of an electrician and not the builder.
Just a bad electrician.
Just a shithead.
You know, I said that there was no continuity on CPC in here, so that's why I was checking out.
You fixed all that at the...
Well, that's fixed.
Didn't you? Yeah.
But there's still no continuity in here. So I'd say, I know that there's a single cable at the switch, which is out there.
Have you got continuity here?
No, I had that off before, which is why I came in here and started up here. There's no continuity anywhere, so I think there's probably a junction box up here somewhere.
Hidden junction, yeah, well, I don't doubt it.
That's got them cut off. So that's for further investigation, I'd say. That's going
to be a bollocks to fix, that is.
Yeah.
Don't envy you doing that one, Nige.
Well, I've already pulled these and there's no access to any junction.
Yeah. You can probably get an inspection camera up there and you'll see some round junction box with the
Full of insulation.
CPCs all outside that you can't get to. Seen that before. Fucking hell, look at this.
What the fuck going on?
Madness. How can your fucking devices not line up with the front cover of the board? I tell you what, board covers have always been the bane of our lives.
Oh, we all know that, don't we? We all know that.
The insulated ones were shite. Doesn't matter whether you bought Hager or what. You always have problems getting board covers on. So you'd think that by the time Amendment 2 came along and said, "Thou shalt make boards of steel, mate," it would have given all manufacturers an opportunity to think about their board lids and to at least make sure the fucking thing will clip around the goddamn devices when it fucking goes back together. It doesn't matter that, you know, I appreciate that this is perhaps a budget brand. This is what one that Screwfix sells. But even so, it's fucking manufacturing 101 that the lid should fit the fucking board with the devices in. And right, we're not missing anything, are we? They're on the fucking DIN rail. Is the DIN rail twisted or something? What's that all about? You know, it's just basic engineering design, isn't it? This planet, fucking hell. It's that RCD's getting in the way there, isn't it?
I'll try and do it from the bottom first. Don't worry about the RCD shit.
Fucking crazy shit.
No, I think what we're going to have to do is loosen them all off and lift them up.
What other peanuts can we pick out of this shit of this paperwork? I'm not going to bother with looking at the checklist because that's just going to be a work of fiction. DB2 in the garage. Oh, he loves this. He's got R1, R2s. He's got perfect IR. And remember folks, that he says the quality of this installation is very good. Well, we saw the garage. And then going back to this board in here, our numbers don't bear up with what his numbers have found. But we found, in fact, all the lighting circuits have problems, don't they? We haven't got an R1, R2 for exterior lights, lights up or lights down.
No.
Some parts do have CPCs in some places. Well, Nigel's just adjusted all the breakers, look, and still can't get the fucking cover up.
Yeah, it's closer.
It shouldn't be that much of a fucking fight. Yeah, so all three lighting circuits have elements of the lighting where there's no CPC continuity and therefore no ZS. But he's got numbers for all of that. So somehow he got what we couldn't get. Maybe he's a better man than we are. Yeah, shower, 10mm live, 6mm CPC. So he doesn't recognise that a 10mm twin and earth has a 4mm CPC. He thinks it's 6. He's also misidentified lighting first floor. That was a 1.5mm cable. You could see it was thicker than the lighting outside and the lighting down, which were 1mm cables. I guess they had a different reel on the van that day. He's got it all down as 1, but you can physically see it's different in there. I mean, it's just bollocks. Just bollocks. EV granny charger. So this guy charges up his EV overnight on a granny charger. And you can be damn sure no one's going to be fitting a fucking proper EV charger here anytime soon. No. Not with the demand blown already. We would be looking to replace that socket. The trouble with these sort of sockets, as I alluded to earlier, if indeed that bit made the edit, that BS1363 socket outlets aren't great for carrying a high current over a long period of time. Yes, it can take 13 amps when you switch your kettle on or whatever for the short time it takes to boil your kettle. Yeah. But when people start plugging in inflatable hot tubs and granny chargers that are pulling maybe 10 amps or so for hours on end, things can get a little bit toasty.
A little bit brown.
We've been to a few exterior sockets in the past, and indeed interior sockets, that have basically melted, haven't they?
Yeah, you get that brown pin and cracks.
Yeah. If the socket outlet itself has a little bit of a dirty connection, if the connection between the prongs isn't quite super sound,
yeah,
or if there's a loose wire behind, or if it's just a cheap shit make, then it's good night, sweetheart, and your fucking socket's going to melt all over the floor. And the wiring regulations in 18th edition actually came along and recognised that. That's fucking unusual, isn't it, for the IT to be quite on the ball and go, oh, there's a thing happening right now that perhaps we can address. Normally it takes some fucking years to figure it out. But they came along and said, you know what, if you're going to use a socket in this way, then it needs to be marked as suitable for use with EVs, hence this bad boy, the Master Plug electric vehicle charging socket. Would you like to unbox, Nigel? I only fitted one of these before, a few months ago, didn't we, in Kenilworth. They used to be at Screwfix, but Screwfix I noticed have stopped selling them, so I had to get this from CPC because they're not the easiest of things to get. They're a bit of a beast.
It's
Kind of, an outdoor socket, but with a little bit of extra gubbins. You can see for a start it says suitable for electric vehicle charging, which means it's compliant with the regulation that I'm printing on the screen right now.
Just because it's got that writing on it.
Yeah. So that is made presumably to a slightly higher standard than most BS1363 sockets, so that it can take some extra thermal load, presumably. But it also has a C16 30 milliamp RCD in there for some localized protection. Whether you can argue that's needed or not, depends what you're hanging on top, I suppose. But it's quite a nice solution. And I noticed that Screwfix aren't stocking it anymore. I had to get this mail ordered in from CPC. And I think the reason why Screwfix have stopped selling it is because last time I looked, it had a lot of negative reviews, mainly because people were buying it expecting it to be some kind of fucking zappy or something.
Fast charger or something.
And they were going, oh, but it's only a fucking socket. I can believe it. I took out a box. It's only a socket. Yeah, it costs 50 quid, mate, instead of 500 quid. That's the difference. It's not going to be something that you can plug your
Tesla into.
Your Type 2 connector and get 32 amps out. And if you think that, this is an actual vehicle charger, then you really ought to be keeping your screwdriver in your pockets and not fucking around buying stuff like this from Screwfix. Yeah. So it's a shame that Screwfix have actually stopped selling it, because it's actually quite a good product if you know what the fuck it is. It's meant for your granny charger, and it's meant for, or you could even use it on something like a hot tub, because it gives you a localized means of overcurrent protection and earth protection. But the main driver for it is it's made to drive that kind of load for a long period of time. So what I will be suggesting to the client here is that gets changed for that.
Yes.
And probably that we also take the opportunity to
put it in a better location.
Exactly that.
Maybe over here or even outside.
And try and get it close to the door so the guy's got a better chance of actually using it. Yeah, we could actually maybe even get it through the wall onto the outside, couldn't we?
Would it fit?
Well, you'd probably put it on this side, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you wanted it there, you might like the security of it being plugged in inside. I don't know. He's the tenant, so he doesn't get a say, really, does he? To what our homeowners behind us here want to do. Why is it that when we're talking, there's always some motherfucker with a fucking power tool of some kind making a fucking racket in the background?
It's probably the guy that built this place.
Trying to drown us out.
Yeah.
We know that it's tripping off because the demand is too high, so we're going to have to do something about that, even if it's something temporary, just to stop it from tripping off back at the main house. Because there have been instances where the tenant here has lost power for the evening and hasn't been able to get access to the main house because they've been out. I don't know why they don't give them a key, but maybe they just haven't got around to that yet or something. Whatever. It's not an ideal situation anyway, to have to traipse up there in the dark and let yourself in and find where the board is and flick the thing back on again. And it's just things like the shower that's taking it out at the moment. So, plans of actions. What we're thinking is of putting in a bit of selectivity here, which is what we're currently missing. So if we were to change the B40 MCB and the RCD at the house end, the other end, let's get rid of the RCD, that's not needed. We've got an armoured cable delivering power to here. And let's change the MCB from a B40 to a C50. If we were to change this main switch for a C40, then the demand here is restricted to what this C40 can provide. Agree, Mr. Marsh?
I agree.
You're very quiet behind the camera there, hiding away. Don't worry about shaking, it's got fucking
No, we've got. Yeah.
It's got stability. There's a bit of wobble. It's because Nigel's very wobbly these days. So if we change this main switch for a C40 MCB, then the amount of power coming down that cable is kind of restricted at this end, unless you start digging up the lawn with a mini digger and you go right through the fucking cable and short it out, in which case, well, at least it's an external cable anyway, for the most part, I think. So what we'll have to do, I haven't been able to get a 2-pole C40 to replace this main switch directly, but we can get a 3-pole C40, and there is one bit of space there, so we could shuffle that along, put in a 3-pole C40 MCB. One pole is obviously going to be for the single phase line and restrict it to 40 amps as a design current. One's going to switch to neutral. Shouldn't have a breaker on the neutral, but it's all linked, so it's not like it's going to be a problem. It's not like the neutral can switch off on its own. It's all a link switch, and one pole will have to be redundant, of course, and do nothing at all, which is fine. It's fine, isn't it, Nigel?
Sure.
That then leaves a bit more discrimination, a bit more selectivity, because we have our B40 for the shower still. So hopefully, if something like the shower pulls too much power, the B40 will go first. Then, worst case, the C40 will go, and then the C50 at the end should never go unless someone sticks a mini digger through the fucking lawn. That's the idea. That's our idea anyway. But again, you know, God knows, it's not a design of our making. It's just something we've inherited, something we've got to get around so that this problem is got around, because at the moment power tripping off is not a good thing. Besides anything else, at this time of year when it's dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if you find yourself suddenly plunged into physical darkness and you're upstairs and you've got to get down the stairs and you've got to avoid trip hazards and that sort of stuff, it's all, you know, what's the worst? You're breaking into a sweat there, mate.
I'm bloody hot, I've still got my coat on.
But you beamed down in just a shirt. I don't know. I need to get myself a new science officer. You're no good to me anymore, number 2. So that's kind of our thought process for getting through it. And there'll be people in the comments, no doubt, who say, I don't like that, David. I don't like that as a solution. But it is what it is. And then the only other things we can do there is replace the shower. So if we replace that 10.8 kilowatts with something nearer 8 kilowatts, then at least we won't be taxing the B40, and that gives us a bit more budget to play with. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to test how this currently works, because I'm going to switch on that shower, ramp it right up to its full temperature, and we'll see what trips off. And no doubt it'll be the B40 back at the main house.
No doubt nothing will trip.
Probably not, but if we leave it going, it might have to leave it going for a few minutes, because sometimes these things, a breaker trips between 3 to 5 times its rated current, and we're not pulling that, but give it a bit of time, especially with it turned right up to 11, and you probably will see that trip event occur. We can always turn on the kettle as well if we really want to just tax that demand a little bit more. You should probably get in this shower, Nige. Right, 2 bars.
I had a bath last night, you cheeky bastard.
Really? Oh. I say, how surprising. It's supposed to be a temperature display, that, but the digits have gone a bit funky, haven't they? I think it says 77 at the moment.
It does say 77.
Oh no. I think it's fluctuating a bit. It's definitely struggling because the lights keep flickering. We've had it on for about 3 minutes now. We could go and turn the kettle on probably, but my science officer has his fork.
Oh.
Oh.
My batteries appear to be...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
To be died.
Did you not get some of those new power packs when we were visiting Mars Station last week?
No. My lithium batteries appear to be dead.
Jeepers creepers. Have we got another clamp meter somewhere?
Sort of battery, isn't it?
Aha. Is that your communicator going off, Nigel?
It is. Hello.
Very Star Trek. It's amazing. You can talk to anybody else in the planet via that communicator.
Kevin?
Even Kevin.
Oh, right. Yes. I'm okay, thanks.
Well, the trip's at the other end, so let's go and take a look at that.
Yes.
I'm back at the house end. Oh, let's get into the dark cupboard. And there's our B40 tripped off. There's actually some heat there. That's warm. So it's been running over its limit, probably close to its tripping point, but not quite enough to send it over until some additional load went on. But, you know, it's just par for the course. That's going to happen, isn't it? So what we need to do today is to get our 50 amp breaker in there, get rid of this RCD for just a main switch. And then we've got a chance then of this problem no longer being quite the problem going forward. So that's my job right now. Okay, mofo, we should be good to go. So at that end, the other end, the old B40 is a bit fairly warm. This was when I went to it after that little load test earlier. The B40 and the RCD are out, a 50 amp breaker and main switch are in and on. Because you've just turned them on, haven't you, Mr. Cock? Number 2. And we have taken out the 100 amp main switch and replaced it with the C40. Outer poles are in use. So 40 amps on, we should be able to, I'm going to leave the garage for the moment, should be able to power services here on. Bingo bongo. Now if we were to put that under stress again, then the selectivity we've installed here means that it will go here, not the main house, hopefully. Again, not ideal, but not a situation of our making. You'll have to let us know in the comments if you think that's not the best way of doing it, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head that we've got time for that we can quickly and easily put in. It is what it is. But let's move on to trying to fix some of the other problems here. You've already rejunctioned where the CPCs have been cut off in the lighting upstairs, haven't you, done to?
Yeah.
Okay. But we haven't found yet where the CPC breaks are for the bathroom lighting. We'd like to put in some Class 2 lighting there. Can we find any Class 2 downlights?
Can we?
Fucking difficult. I even messaged ELD Lighting on Twitter, who we used to buy as our Class 2 downlights from Cities before Cities stopped doing them, but they haven't replied to me. So
reply!
Fucking hell, yeah. I was putting it on the social media account if you're not going to reply. I say that. I haven't replied to anybody on Instagram for fucking weeks because I haven't been on there. So I don't know if people are messaging me. But Instagram's shit and I hate it. Anyway, we shall carry on pulling this place apart and see if we can find any other gems that we can put right.
Yes. And
more importantly, we're going to go and have a Greg's for very soon, aren't we?
Baguette, a cup of tea.
And a little mooch around CEX. I never know, shall I pronounce it CX or sex?
Sex, I think is better.
Yeah.
We're going to go and look in Sex.
We are.
The sex shop.
CEX, as I would prefer to pronounce it, is one of those places that one simply cannot pass without mooching in for a little peruse of its wares. If you've got a particular store that you cannot pass without having to pop in and have a little poke around, do let us know in the comments, because we'll be really interested to know. Look at the state of that.
Jesus.
I know, it's just fucking horrific, isn't it? So the problem we've got with the lights down here is that these are Class 1 fittings, no earth, Class 1, no earth. But that's got an earth, that light out here, hasn't it? Which we've reconnected. Yes. But it's not here.
No.
So there's some intermediate point just between the metre and a half between these 2 points. Because this is just a fan in and fan out. If it were me, I'd have had all the junctioning here at the fan isolator.
Or next to a bloody downlight.
And take a look at this too. Explain to me why 2 of these are LED and the third one's halogen. And you can see the heat damage that the halogen's caused to the wire there. Why the fuck is this even a Class 1 fitting? Fucking integral. I mean, I know it's metal there, but I mean, Jesus Christ, everything's double insulated at this point. So why do we need a fucking earth wire on there? Well, I think we showed these terminations before. Absolute fucking garbage. Absolute fucking crap. how the fuck are we going to fix this? Because we can't get class 2 downlights. For some reason, no cunt makes them. Or seems to, anyway. And even if we did replace the downlights, we've still got this problem up here unless we start putting a plastic accessory on there. You wouldn't get this on Rigel 7.
You wouldn't.
Number 2 and I have a plan.
Yes.
We know that we have a CPC at this light. We've got 2 choices basically. We know we have got no CPC at this isolator going into the bathroom. We could perhaps take a CPC from the shower circuit, link it to here, and then we think that's going to supply a CPC to the bathroom. Don't really like cross-connecting CPCs in a circuit. I don't want one circuit to be reliant on another circuit's CPC if I can help it. But again, we are faced with a situation that's not of our making. We're just trying to find ways to improve its safety without demolishing the place and starting again.
Yeah.
Plan B, which is actually Plan A, we've just whipped out to Planet Wilco Prime in the transit shuttle bus.
Yes.
And bought this bit of chain. This bit of chain that is attracted to a magnet.
It is ferrous.
And here's what we're thinking. We're thinking that that ceiling is open between there and the wooden beam here. So if we can attract that chain across to the hole that Nigel has put in using his tiny implement, then technically we ought to be able to pull across a bit of 1/5 single green yellow, tack it along the top of here. Oh, I know you're thinking that sounds shit, David. Bob it through the wall there, into here, Bob's your uncle. And the only visible element on show will be a small green yellow going across there. Not great, but you know, again, not a situation of our making.
What was that loud crash, David?
We are simply trying to put things right.
Yes.
And that will then link the bathroom to the CPC from the circuit it's supposed to be linked from, the downstairs lighting circuit. Because somewhere between here and there, that 1.5 metre distance, some dipshit builder has put in a junction.
Yeah, and it's good laminate flooring upstairs, so we can't come in from that.
We're not getting to it without pulling down the ceiling, which is of a nonsense. So let's just see how easily the science officer here can salute this solution with his fat magnets.
Get the damn chain in there first.
You're making a right fucking mess of this already, aren't you? Fuck off. Do you want to? Oh yeah, I've got the screen.
You're the one holding the goddamn camera.
He's doing it wrong, of course, because he should be just putting that end of that chain right up there, so he knows he's got the end on the magnet. Otherwise, he's going to have it all.
No, it's not going to bunch on the magnet, innit? You fool! The whole chain's got to go up there first.
You need a real man to do it, because I'm just worried that you're going to cock this up.
Oh God! How's that got between them?
How indeed, how indeed. It's a good job we got the power off entirely here. Yes, yeah. Oh dear, oh dear. He's not doing this right at all. I fear I'm going to have to take over in a moment and show him how to do the job properly. Once again. Oh, this daily occurrence.
Yeah, but you won't do that on camera, will you? You'll be like, yeah, I did that.
No, I'll get you to hold the camera.
Oh, Jesus.
You see the problem? I'll tell you what, because I'm running out of memory card space. I'll turn it off until he does it without fucking it up, which may be some time. 3 hours he was on that. 3 hours.
3 hours. Fucking 30 seconds after you put the camera down. Go on then. Go on.
Yeah, but I'm talking Martian time.
Show me how it's done. See, the way I'd really want to do it is shove it up there with a rod. So you've got a good length in your hole.
Rod. You got to, yeah, it's a bit of a finger poker.
Right, so you want a rod?
No, I want it. Super Rod would have a solution for this, of course.
Well, they do. They've got a screw on end with a chain that's weak as hell, breaks really easy, and costs a tenner a time or something. Don't you, Super Rod?
You can't diss Super Rod. They occasionally give us a toy.
Yeah, I know, but their chains are shit.
Fucking hell. Christ on a bike.
You see the problem I was having? Do you want a rod to shove it up with?
Fuck off! Hang on.
3 hours later.
It won't pull it. I think it'll straighten it out, but it won't pull it along. You can hear it straightening out. That was a fucking shit idea.
May I have a go with the rod?
So number 2's fucking stupid chain idea didn't work.
Fuck off.
We haven't managed to get a flexi rod through. So I knew Super Rod would have a solution.
Whose fucking idea was that one?
We were going with the chain because we wanted to minimise the hullage we were putting in at this end, but 16mm it is. Well, you definitely just hit the rod because the end just gave a twingle.
Oh.
We think that also the chain might have worked. However, we think there's a bit of batten across there. Hey, you see? A bit of batten across there that was impeding its path anyway. Nigel did manage to get it part way along, but without any further success. However, the flexi rod has got over the batten, under the insulation, and given us a path through from there to there. If we can get from there to there, we can get to there, we can get through there, we can get to there, we can get there back on.
Alright. Captain.
Well, let's do that then. Again, fucking sitting on his arse while I do all the work. But the good news is...
I got a bad back.
Well, there is a couple of bits of good news. You fixed the CPC upstairs, haven't you? Because that light we found earlier, where all the CPCs have been inexplicably chopped off and now been reconnected.
Yeah.
And we now have an R1, R2. We need to get the actual number. We haven't got the number yet, have we? We'll just check the continuity.
Just pull them fucking steps back.
That's not my fault you're not forward thinking.
Well, neither are you. She didn't fucking say anything.
If you've just repaired the CPCs, obviously we're going to need an R1, R2. What can you do? We've got this cable through here, through there. I've actually chibbled a little bit out the edge of the ceiling to get it over into here. There she goes. So that's good news, isn't it? A bit of filler just on the edge there, and you won't even know it's there, mate. Again, not the most ideal of solutions, but better to have that than to have no earthing on your metal accessories in Class 1 lights.
Look, if we got a spare CPC slot in that far away.
It's like it was...
Oh, it's like it was made for it.
Yeah.
It's like I thought of it last time we were there.
Ah, well, maybe use your prescient vision, you know? You know how you've got your empathetic powers. Which is why you get all menstrual all the time when the people are shouting at you.
Yes.
Super, right, well, I'm going to redress these things up here, these nasty nasties, and get a bit of filler along there. You have a choice, Mr. Marsh, of either getting the R1, R2 off the upstairs lights, checking the PIR outside again to see if there's any CPC that we can rescue there, because the outside lights still haven't got a fucking earth. This guy really didn't like having CPCs.
Yeah, it's just a thing to tear the fucking sheath
I'm going to chop this off, don't know what it's for. And the third thing is to get that fucking socket on the wall there. All three things we've got to achieve of this very afternoon before we can clock off and fuck off.
Alright.
Let's teleport to business. You jump to one side. I'll make it look like you're teleporting out. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Nige? Right, so our super new CPC link in place. We should now get an R1, R2 off these horrendo balls. Lights, hello, here we go. Oh, it might help if we switched it on. Let me switch on the lights. Switch on there. Yes. Well, that proves we're in the We got switching in the line conductor 2.01. It's a bit high. Just
Give him a squeeze.
Just make sure we're well on there. I mean, that's still a pass. It's better than fucking nothing,
Overall.
which is what we had before. Yeah, 1.97.
It's a bit better.
Seems a bit high for the size of the place. I wouldn't expect it to be that high, but we've been to every point we can get to, and we've ensured that they're tight. We know there are junctions around the place.
Yeah, there's a junction in here we can't access somewhere.
Yeah, junctions that have been left inaccessible to us. So it's well inside a pass for a B6. So, you know, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. And the fact is, the metal switch, the metal isolator, these class 1 fittings are all now earthed. They're shite in their terminations. You're about to redo those, aren't you?
I am about to redo those.
Once number 2 has properly encapsulated all of those, then that's that circuit back in business, isn't it? I'm going to just patch this up now with some one strike filler. The filler of choice for assholes like us. Well, number 2. This planet has been quite interesting. It's obviously a planet without any decent fucking electricians in it.
Obviously. Yes.
Anyway, time for us to return to the big black, I think.
FAB.
That's Thunderbird, you fucking idiot.
Huh. Is it?
Well, we're not going to beam up. We'll take the transit shuttlecraft.
Okay.
Get in, woman.
Hang on. Isn't this Doctor Who?
Oh, god damn it! Back on board, and what a jolly unfortunate planet that was, number 2, to have such piss poor electrical contractors working there. It's a good job that wouldn't happen on Earth. I don't know why what they're doing. And this paperwork, this fucking nonsense paperwork, well, it's just fucking nonsense, isn't it? It's just absolute garbage.
It is.
Absolute garbage. Best thing you can do with that is to set your phaser to kill and put it out of its misery.
Yeah. Vaporised, so to speak.
Yes, if only the contractor who authored it was also vaporised. Never mind.
Can I push this big red button? What does it do?
I don't know what it does, but have you ever known it to be good to push a big red button? Also, it's got a radiation symbol on it, so I'm guessing it's probably not wise.
But big red buttons are there and prominent so that you do push them.
No, leave the red button alone. Do not touch the red button. Yeah. The trouble is, here's the problem with the fucking red button, is that these videos always end on some stupid fucking gag, and I guarantee if you push that red button, something will happen, like it'll say self-destruct, and I'll then have to go to the...
It can't happen every time.
I'll then have to go to the effort, the time and effort of making our spaceship blow up in edit, and I can't be arsed with that.
It can't happen every time. There's got to be...
No, I know what it's like. If you push that, we're going to blow up. I guarantee it.
I want to.
No. I don't want to be one of those channels where we are predictable. I want to be unpredictable.
Yes.
You know, we're not supposed to be an electoral channel by numbers like a lot of others. We're a little bit, you know, a little bit way. We're supposed to do things a little differently. If we start getting predictable, then
that's dead in the water.
No, you're not pushing the red button. That's not going to happen. I can see you want to do it, but you're not pushing the red button. It just won't end well. Moving on to Buy Me a Coffee, which is now Buy Me a Sprunt Juice Cocktail on the planet Zargon Prime. Oh, those of you who have ever ventured to the Alpha Quadrant will know all about that one. Have you ever had a Sprunt Juice Cocktail, right?
I haven't. I've thought about a Pangalactic Gargle Blaster, but never been able to find one.
This is similar, but has fewer copyright issues. It's actually quite a dangerous beverage. If it's not mixed right, it physically sucks in your bollocks and farts them out through your arsehole. So it's got a hell of a kick, and it's imperative that it gets mixed correctly. You need the right mixologist to make a Sprunt Juice cocktail. So, Buy Me a Sprunt Juice Cocktail, our first name, and we have been a bit slow on the old shouts.
And on the videos in general.
Yes. I mean, a lot of work has gone into getting us to whatever planet this was. and to resolve the issues there. So, you know,
time and effort.
A lot of time and effort. So we are a bit behind. I do apologise. And our first name, I tell you, you may read out the first name, Mr. March.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, it's Mr. Humbug.
Mr. Humbug, who says Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mr. Humbug.
We're already a quarter of the way through 2023.
Yes, we are.
And we're just catching up with the Happy New Year messages. So,
yes, so that's how far behind we are.
Sorry about that. But
this is what happens when you travel at light speed through space.
Yes, yes. I think Einstein had something to say about that.
Yes.
The next name, Nigel, would you like to read the next name?
Test Gear Junkie.
Thanks for the test rig video, says Test Gear Junkie. Sammy and Rhea up in Aberdeen there. Next one is an anonymous coward, a virgin, who's put their name down as simply someone.
Nice, nice.
Hi guys, I now know who has the brains and who the grafter is with more than his fair share of brains. I'll leave it to you to work out who's who. Only one set of brains around here. Oh, a fellow Nigel number 2.
Oh, Nigel Tupman.
Have a great 2023, says Nigel Tupman. Well, kind of so far so good. But, Marky D Electrical. Tesseric Vid is the dog small bits. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Marky D. I'm glad you found that of some kind of use. Our man in Australia, Mr. Marsh.
Oh, Mr. Jim Hook.
Yes. Thanks for an entertaining video on portable test rigs. Cured my insomnia. Cheers from the crazy Aussie electrical birdman. Jim Hook's actually put a video on his channel where he's got a cock or two around his face.
Oh, right. Yes, yes. I know he's. I thought he was into the birds personally.
Link in description if you're into that kind of thing. Yes. John Taylor Electrical Services. Loved the Christmas video. Can't wait to see what you pair get up to this year. Well, not very much, as it turns out.
Not very much, but
other than coming into outer space.
Yes.
Darren Briddock, the big knob at Electrical and Test Limited. This is for coffee or beer. The cigars are not big and clever. Naughty David. Yes. Well, I presume you're okay with us having a Sprint juice, Darren, as long as it's mixed properly.
As long as it's mixed. I don't need my bollocks being shot out of my hand.
No, well, I imagine that trying to finger them back up there again is probably not going to be the prettiest of sights or the most glamorous of jobs. A virgin by the name of Peeping Tom. Oh. What are you thinking drinking that piss? Well, it's what the replicator can produce, yeah. We need more recipes built into the replicator if we're going to move on to anything else. Would you like to read Azori Electrical?
Oh, Azori Electrical?
Well done. Our man Libby and Leighton Buzzard. Forget Artisan, get together with Beanbag Face, says Libby.
Beanbag Face?
Looking forward to seeing more sublime content in 2023. Yes, Beanbag Face is Jamie Blatant.
Ah, right.
We would like to get together with Jamie Blatant.
Where is Jamie?
The asshole lives in Nottingham.
Which he swears too much for us.
Oh yes, we don't.
He might be a bit too uncouth for us. Yeah. Geordie Sterling,
who appears to be a promotion to the Whores list.
Oh, lovely.
Have a beer on me and a couple for Nigel, as the poor man has to put up with your pish year round.
I don't. Okay.
He does. He does. David North has nothing to say.
Oh, right, fair enough.
But is a promotion to the Whores list, so congratulations on your promotion, David.
Thank you, Dave.
Don't mind if I do. Nigel, would you like to read the next one?
Test Gear Junkie.
Oh, well, that rings a bell, doesn't it?
It does.
Here's to learn more Total Tosh of 2023. I'm sorry that you're getting 2 mentions in one video, Test Gear Junkie.
Yes, that means that we are
quite
at
behind.
least a video behind.
Another familiar name.
Andy Karush. Top sparking to you in 2023.
Well read, Nigel. It is a very small font on here, isn't it?
Well, I was expecting you to yank it away again like you have been.
We have a virgin by the name of Bump Lug Wholesaler.
Bump Lug Wholesaler.
I just read what they type in.
Bump the ear hole sailor.
It's right there, look.
Bump Lug Wholesaler.
Yeah, that's hole as in hole, as opposed to hole as in hole.
As in an ear hole sailor.
Yeah. Many thanks, says Bump Lug Wholesaler.
Thank you. Mr. Humbug.
Again, sorry you're getting 2 mentions in one video. It's
it shows how lax things have become.
Your mediocre attempts at video production are head and shoulders above most of YouTube.
Oh, you are going to love this one then. It is particularly mediocre.
A virgin by the name of Craig Stone, who says, Sir Savoury of Vaultingshire. I like that. And another virgin, Michael, who says, love the channel.
Oh, lovely.
What's to love?
Nothing.
Would you like to read the next one, Nigel?
Test gear junkie.
Fucking hell, we really are behind.
You are a junkie.
Oh. Keep up whatever it is you're keeping up. I'm sorry you've had 3 mentions in one video. Oh, this ain't going well.
I think it's going exceptionally well.
Nearly there. We have a virgin.
David Graham.
Better than Netflix, lies David.
Oh.
Never supported anyone before, but the effort you put into your videos and your trade certainly deserves it.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's nice to be recognised by the great David Graham. No super wanks to read out. We would like to give thanks to and remembrance to Ensign Spunkgargler, who accompanied us on the away team and unfortunately didn't make it. But he died doing what he loved.
You know.
Special mentions. A few little special mentionettes to go through.
Lovely.
Richard and Reese, individually. Yeah. We met them outside of CEF. They bumped into us, said,
yes,
you're those two twats.
I remember.
I've seen you on the interwebs.
And they didn't punch us in person, so they get a special mention.
Violence has been threatened in the past, but no, they gave us smiles as opposed to the threat of fisticuffs.
Yes.
Steve from SFG Security and Electrical, link in description to Steve's channel. I'm sorry, Steve, you passed on some rather wonderful instruments for us to do an Old Toy Tuesday video on, and still haven't got around to that. It's because this video has been in development hell for so long.
Epic.
It's not really epic, it's just being arsed.
I'm talking about the hell.
The hell,
it's been in epic hell.
It has been in the development hell for quite a while now.
Yes.
And now this is out the way, maybe we can get on to some other things. But go check out Steve's channel if you've got a bit of a bone on for your security and electrical shenanigans.
Yes.
Oh, it's coming out both ends. John Bagley, my man down the pub.
Yep.
Thank you for the EV cable. He's very kindly given me a Type 2 charge cable for my shitty Pod Point charger. And finally, Kevin from Chauvin on New, who has very kindly bought me some beer and given me a few toys to play with. So you can expect some new Toy Tuesday videos or similar. And I think that's it. So let's get those names on the screen, Mr. Marsh. Well, I think our spaceship studio has been a rather roaring success, Nigel. I'm really not too sure why we didn't think of this before. No, you prick. You did it, didn't you?
I did. You got to know what every button on your ship does.
Doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment.
No, it doesn't.
It's actually a bit of an anticlimax. I was rather expecting something more dramatic to happen.
A bit boring for the people at home.
Well, we didn't want to be predictable, and I think...
Auto-destruct enabled. You now have 20 seconds to reach minimum safe distance.
Well, sorry.
Abandon ship. 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 Abandon ship.